Over the past few months, something unsettling has been happening at cruise terminals around the world. Travelers arrive excited, luggage in hand, ready for what they believe will be a smooth embarkation day, only to be stopped cold at the terminal gates. Boarding passes fail. Screens flash warnings. Staff quietly pull passengers aside. And in the worst cases, people stand helplessly on the dock, watching their ship slowly pull away without them. For many of these passengers, the shock isn't just missing the cruise. It's not understanding why it happened at all. Cruise travel changed dramatically after the pandemic. But what caught many travelers off guard in 2026 was how deeply digital systems are now tied to boarding approval. Behind the scenes, international maritime regulations tightened, security standards increased, and facial recognition technology became a central part of cruise embarkation. What once felt like a simple online form has quietly transformed into a multi-layer verification process, one that leaves very little room for error. 3 major cruise lines have taken the lead in rolling out these changes, each in its own way. Royal Caribbean introduced the strictest version, with rigid technical requirements and automated approvals that rarely allow manual overrides. Carnival implemented the changes in phases, creating confusion for passengers who assumed they were already compliant. Norwegian adopted a hybrid system that blends old and new processes, leaving many unsure which rules apply to them. When everything works, the system is impressively fast. But when something goes wrong, the consequences can be immediate and unforgiving. Take the case of John and Mark, 2 longtime cruisers in their early 60s who believed they had done everything right. They completed their online check-in weeks before sailing, uploaded documents, and received what they assumed was confirmation. What they didn't realize was that the process had quietly added a new facial recognition requirement. When they arrived at the terminal in Miami, they were stopped at the first checkpoint. The system showed their check-in as incomplete. They spent hours trying to correct the issue on their phones, struggling with spotty internet and unfamiliar upload screens. By the time everything was finally approved, the ship was gone. What followed was a frantic scramble to rebook flights, reroute travel plans, and accept the loss of embarkation day they had been looking forward to for months. Their experience wasn't unique. One of the biggest reasons passengers are being denied boarding is the expanded health declaration. What used to be a quick checkbox has evolved into a detailed medical profile. Vaccination status, recent illness history, mobility needs, dietary restrictions, and emergency medical contacts are now all part of a single system. Leaving a field blank, even one marked as optional, can cause the entire submission to be flagged as incomplete. Another major source of trouble comes from facial recognition photos. The technology sounds simple, but it's far more precise than many passengers expect. The photo must meet strict resolution requirements. Lighting matters. Facial expression matters. Glasses, shadows, hair partially covering the face, any of these can cause rejection. The system compares this image directly to the passport photo, and even small inconsistencies can trigger failure. Passport uploads are another silent trap. Many travelers photograph their passport quickly without realizing the system needs all 4 corners clearly visible. Shadows, glare from flash, or cropping even a few millimeters off the edge can make the document unreadable to the automated verification software. When that happens, approval stalls without a clear explanation. Name mismatches create another layer of problems. Cruise bookings must match passports exactly. Middle names, hyphens, suffixes, every detail matters. A booking that shortens Michael Andrew Thompson to Michael Thompson may have worked years ago, but in the current system, it can stop a passenger before they ever reach the gangway. Passport expiration dates also catch many off guard. It's not enough for a passport to be valid during the cruise itself. The system checks whether it remains valid for at least 6 months beyond the return date. A passport expiring just weeks after the cruise ends is automatically flagged, even if the traveler has no plans to leave the ship's itinerary. Some passengers attempt to rely on alternative documents for closed-loop cruises, only to discover at the terminal that their driver's license doesn't meet real ID requirements. Without the correct designation, the system refuses verification, and there's no last-minute workaround. Timing plays a critical role as well. Digital check-in opens weeks before sailing but closes firmly 24 hours before embarkation. Submissions made too close to that cutoff risk being stuck in review when boarding begins. Since approvals can take a full day or more, delays become permanent denials once the ship's manifest is locked. Even passengers who pass every verification step can stumble at the final stage, the set sail pass. This QR code becomes the key to boarding, required at multiple checkpoints. Some travelers assume the email confirmation is enough. Others rely on internet access at the terminal, only to find their phone won't load the pass when needed. A dead battery or lost connection can instantly turn approval into denial. When passengers are stopped, emotions run high. Confusion turns into frustration. Some argue with staff who have no authority to override the system. Others panic, trying to fix technical issues under intense pressure. In those moments, the reality becomes painfully clear. Once the system says no, human discretion is limited. Despite these challenges, the system exists for reasons beyond convenience. When it works, embarkation times are dramatically shorter. Security screening is more consistent. Re-entry at ports is faster. But the technology assumes a level of digital comfort that not all travelers have, especially older passengers or those unfamiliar with mobile apps and online document uploads. The biggest weakness isn't the technology itself, it's communication. Many travelers simply don't realize how much the process has changed. Cruise lines provide the information, but often buried in emails, apps, or fine print that passengers skim over, assuming check-in is the same as it's always been. For those who do find themselves denied boarding, the experience can feel overwhelming. The best outcomes usually come from staying calm, documenting everything, and escalating professionally through proper channels. In cases where the denial results from a cruise line error, refunds or rebookings are possible, but only when passengers clearly document what happened and persist through the process. Digital check-in is not a temporary experiment. It's the future of cruise travel. As systems improve and passengers become more familiar with the requirements, these incidents may become less common. But for now, the transition period remains messy, emotional, and unforgiving. For travelers willing to understand the system and respect its precision, the reward is a smoother, faster embarkation experience than ever before. For those who underestimate it, the cost can be devastating, not just financially but emotionally, as vacations dreamed about for months end before they ever begin. As cruise travel moves deeper into the digital age, one truth stands out clearly: the journey no longer starts at the port. It starts weeks earlier, quietly on a screen long before the ship ever comes into view. Thanks for watching.